This broadcast has been appropriate for all ages, right here on Jam on Toast. This is the Watch Spot. I am Kamurai, coming here to talk about things and stuff that we've been watching. Mostly cereals. Delicious H2O. A couple of things I want to address before I jump into any of the shows and stuff. Partly, again, why there's been such a big thing on cereals now as opposed to like it used to be like movies and serials a lot, and it used to be more movies than anything. And like over the past year, I was watching a lot of Dungeons and Dragons streams and stuff, and I'll be completely honest. The serials have blown up. They have really come into their own age. We just went through this big period where like TV just was horrible, and it pushed the internet age. And now the internet age is helping serials gain momentum again, and that momentum is showing up back on television as well as net or internet properties as well, particularly Hulu, CBS, places like that. Um, that are huge proponents of internet shows, and I think with YouTube Red, we're going to start seeing some shows come over to YouTube Red. And as soon as I balance a budget or whatever, I think that's where I'm going to end up. I'm going to go back to YouTube Red, Hulu no commercials. I'll get my Netflix back. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, we'll come back to that special thing. That's what I want to end the show with. So it's really this. I mean, this isn't really like the state of the toast, but it's definitely a thing where like it's just blowing up. There's so much to watch now. I can't. I keep finding shows I can't believe I missed. It's like, how did I not hear about this? How did I hear about this and not know it was this good? How did I not get like a personalized letter saying that this show has been tailored for me? And I'll touch on what those are later on. But it's oh my god, there's so many good shows out there right now, and I love a good mystery. But I've noticed too, a lot of the murder mystery type things, like I'm not retaining them at all. Like I'll be doing something else while I watch, yeah, sure, but I will remember other plot points and things. But it's particularly the murder mysteries that my brain resets fast, and maybe that's for rewatchability at some later point. Because it used to be I wouldn't rewatch things until I forgot how they went, especially the murder mysteries, because part of it is like trying to figure out what happened with it. Like a murder mystery serial is not typically one that you rewatch over and over and over, but I have, especially shows I like, have a very easy time rewatching things, even if I know all the points, because I enjoy the journey. I enjoy how the show's written. I enjoy so much about it. Kitty, don't get on my pants. With that said, and how everything is, I do not understand how the breaks work. I get that like spring break's coming up, so like a lot of shows like didn't do an episode last week. Some shows are coming back right now. It's like, oh god, what are you doing to me? I thought you were dead. It turns out I think Pretty Little Liars has like a whole nother season. Like that show ended. It's done. I have no idea what they did after like they became adults or teachers or whatever the hell. And maybe it turns out that like she's actually not a teacher and like a TA or something. But I thought they all went their separate ways, and like we had like one flashback of like, oh, it's happening again. Um, so we'll have to see what's going on there. But I'll have to binge it at some point. I've got so many things. There's not time enough in the world. Failure to launch Shadowhunters. I gave up on trying to start Shadowhunters. I missed the beginning on Hulu. I don't feel like going catching up on it elsewhere, and then coming back to it. If it's anything like the stupid movie, I will have very little interest in it. The premise is not that interesting. It's not very original, and it's not done in any way that really compels me to watch the show. Taking away that first episode, I think I'm going to make that a vote and just not watch any of it. And that'll be what it is. Sorry. Um, okay, the way that I've been breaking up the shows into groups and then going through the history beforehand, I think is really working out. I think it's really helping us keep the segment within an hour because that's probably the biggest deterrent to anyone listening or watching to that. This is that sometimes they go on and on and on. So I'm trying to err on the short side more than the long side, unless I've got someone here to banter off of, and then I'll go back to doing the opposite way. So let's see. Oh yeah, of course, Two Broke Girls. This is on CBS. I have no idea at which point. I think the lawyer got it for him, but they got a movie deal. I totally missed that part. Maybe I turned it off before or during that commercial break beforehand. So the whole episode is about the movie deal and like who's gonna play them in the movie, and they want to cut Max out, and it's like, well, what story do you really have without Max? You have girl lost her money and then was sad. You have none of the uplifting story. You have none of the struggling to climb up. You just have like stagnation. Max having the skill set that Caroline could sell, which really makes her sound like a parasite, like was a key hinge on a lot of everything. Max was the one that took Caroline in when she was like homeless on the subway train, and I can totally sympathize these days with that character. It's not an easy place to get to, or be at rather, and so I really like the characters. I really like where the show's gone. I just want uh, I want it to stay true to character, and I think they're trying to do that while doing something new and fresh, which is why they have the whole Hollywood thing. And I'm really curious where the show is going to go after that, because if the movie takes off, then do they have them be two rich girls for a season? Like, do we change the name of the show, or does she get fucked over and lose her money, or do they become slightly less broke two girls? It's just all very curious where it's gonna go. No episode for Big Bang Theory. I'm pretty sure Angel from Hell is on a hiatus if it's not canceled. I really should look up and see, but I'm afraid. I'm so afraid to see what happened in that show because I really liked it. But I really liked, oh god, I unbelievably liked a show I can't even remember the name of right now. Oh my gosh, what was that? The Losers? The Undesirables? I really need to look this up. Give me a window. Oh god, because it had the stripper from How I Met Your Mother. I had IMDb open. Okay. But that show was amazing. The first episode blew me away. Like, I just wanted hours of people talking over other people talking, like lip syncing for them. I really wanted that. So if we look up How I Met Your Mother, which is an excellent show, if you ever have the time or the patience to get through 9 seasons of this shit, totally worth it. And even if I just called it shit, because it's like 4 great seasons, and then 5 through 9 got stretched out because it should have been 5 seasons. It was planned for 5 seasons. They should have stuck to it. So it gets stretched a little bit, but they did a really good job for a serial that's episodic. It's great. Neil Patrick Harris is a treat for one and all. I don't care what your flavor of bacon is. Where is... No, not her. I do not like how IMDb orders things. Like, who determines the order of importance for this? Because it was Quinn. Becky Newton. So Becky Newton was the stripper from How I Met Your Mother. And she was on Weird Loners, which is such a great name for a show. Only 6 episodes? No, that's not right. That's not right. This is an example of a show that got canceled and just locked away. It's like, no, we made a mistake. Yeah, it only went 6 episodes. I was so happy about this show. And they were really kind of all awful people, except for the chubby guy, who was a good guy, but he was the weird loner, and the other guys were not. They were maybe alienating a little bit, but they weren't antisocial. They weren't weirdos in that perspective. So anyway, sorry. back to the shows. Totally worth watching 6 episodes of that just to see what the hell I'm talking about. Not even joking. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I'm so sad to be behind an episode, especially this one, because we just wrapped up this huge story arc, and we're at a kind of a pivotal point to see if Rachel's going to get over Josh and continue to do good and just be happy in life, or if she is going to torpedo her life again and go after Josh full force. So that'll be interesting. Last Man on Earth. Unbelievable that they came back, or they even did the episode before this one. Because the last episode that I saw, spoilers if you would like that warning, um, big dude, his name's Mac on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I can't remember. Oh, his name's Phil. Was like having appendicitis, and like they had to do surgery that they learned while he was having appendicitis. And he dies at the table. So I'm willing to bet there's a storyline that's going to show up to someone else showing up to save the day because it's that kind of show. I'm all for him staying dead. I think that fixes a lot of problems on the show and in the narrative, and it gives them new angles to work off of. Because with her baby's daddy dead, Erica will have like a whole new angst. There'll be a whole new couple thing going on with Carol and Stan? No, I can't remember the big guy's name. And then you've got the existing couple, and then you've got the new loner, which is the blonde chick. Which will actually lead up rather well with the astronaut that lands. The astronaut we've been watching finally uses the escape shuttle, aims at the ocean, figures like he'll be hit, manages to hit a boat. Oh my god. Like, as soon as you see the ship, you're like, that's what's happening. But the sheer odds of that are amazing. But of course, the ship sinks because a spaceship hit it. He throws like a paddle boat or something out into the ocean, finds this other ship, and finds another survivor. So they team up for a while, and I really thought, and apparently the character thought that too, that his statement was that he's going to kill and eat the astronaut. I can't remember. I cannot remember the guy's first name. So, like, everything that's happening, it's like, is this when he tries to kill him? Is this when he tries to kill him? Because he's being like super protective of him. He doesn't want to lose his buddy, his friend. I really thought like we were gonna end up with like he's gonna turn into a sex pet or something. It's like last 2 men on Earth. No one else is around. Does it come into a battle of contention there? Like, does that happen? I don't know. It's not part of my philosophy, but like I could. It's so through sociology studies and history, man. Yeah, you could see things like that happening, and that'd be bad. There's actually far too many studies on like what people would do when they're given no rules and no or perception of a lack of punishment. It's really kind of crazy. But he does make it to land, and there we learn a lot more about the virus that's happening there on Earth. And I'm hoping that this is a past timeline, and that it will lead up to the same moment when Phil's on the table. And it's not just he gets there and like, oh yeah, we had this other guy that died a month ago. He was tasty. Hope it's nothing like that. New girl, Zoe Deschanel is still not on her show. I want to know what's happening in real life for that to happen. But Megan Fox is there, and it's her character Reagan, that's right, and Nick going back and forth for power. They're kind of alphaing it out, and it's kind of interesting given that Nick had originally kind of been powerless with her, and he's kind of gained a backbone, but he's gained too much backbone. He's not willing to compromise with her and make peace or goodwill towards her, like to the point where she put an AC unit in her room, or Jess's room, or whatever you want to call it, and he's like, I'm just going to sit out here and sweat with all my fans. But it was really a whole episode of that, so Zoe Deschanel, come back to your own show, please, please, please. Those are on hiatus. Modern Family. I thought this was an interesting one. It didn't really hold a lot of weight. Like, Mitch Camp had some kind of weird social problem with like their circle of friends, and I don't know. Like, I think it really came down to them being happier than everyone else. I think that's what the joke was, but whatever. Um, this was an interesting one because it kind of added like a mystery thing. Phil turned into a detective. Claire has an assistant that's been helping her get things done because that's what you use your assistant for, right? But he's been doing it with the family, and she doesn't want to appear as if she has an assistant doing family stuff for her, because she wants all the credit as supermom because Claire. Um, and it becomes this huge thing where Phil like investigates, finds out, and goes after him to try to catch him, and then because it's Phil, he just helps out. It's why they're together. He's the everyman idiot character, but he's a good guy. What's really funny on the opposite end of that, because the son takes over after him so much, he gets porn stuck on Gloria's computer with Manny, so they go on this whole trip trying to get rid of it, which is actually that's probably the funnier storyline out of all of that. And then Jay is trying to get rid of food that Gloria made by feeding it to the dog, and then Gloria is trying to that kid's so funny. Gloria is trying to not let Jay know that she left the child in the car, which is actually kind of serious. Don't do that. And it's hilarious to the point that Manny took the car to go do something and didn't realize his brother was in the back. It's a little crazy. No episode for the middle. Life in Pieces. By far one of the most interesting shows I've come across. I remember I accidentally saw the guy's name because I didn't really want to look it up on first. Colin Hank. It's Tom Hanks' son. So Colin Hanks is the husband of Zoe Lister-Jones that I can never remember, though I actually really like him. He's a decent actor, person type, if you will. I really enjoy him, especially on the show. He makes a really good husband, even if he's a little weird and dopey at points. Because I think of everyone, like, I relate to him, and then, of course, Zoe Lister-Jones as my wife would be fantastic. She's awesome. Let's see. But yeah, grandparents are in trouble with the neighbors. Like, it's the black guy from what was that show? The Millers. So he's really funny. He actually plays the guy without a leg, which I thought was an interesting route to go. I could watch a whole episode, an entire episode, just on this one thing. The concept of like being stuck in a car with people you do not want to be stuck in a car with and no food. I think you could make like an entire show based off that. Like every day this sort of thing happens. You just call it like Stuck in Traffic. Give me that show. There's a horrible thing where like the grandpa guy has his son-in-law like look at his nose or whatever, and he's like, "Yeah, you got nose polyps. You gotta get those surgerized." And then he's like, "Oh, you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it for free." And whatever. And then he dies on the table, which is insanity that would even happen. But the guy's old. I'm surprised he isn't just dead one episode. But by far, the funniest one was the one with Colin Hanks and Zoe Lister-Jones. The Exterminator character, I don't know why he keeps coming back. It seems like a ridiculous thing for the characters to keep calling that Exterminator. But they accidentally invite him to dinner, and he shows up with his wife or girlfriend or whatever, and there's this whole contention about Colin Hanks' character having been with a playmate or Playboy model, and he had the proof, but like it disappears. There's a really funny scene with like the rat in the magazine, and I that show's just so cleverly put together. And it's the one show I think that we're ever gonna get that they looked at the Modern Family formula and went like, we can do that, because I really think they nailed it. Grandfather, the whole episode was based on Jimmy hooking up with a woman that was more Jimmy than he was. Richer, more powerful, more confident, just all this nonsense. While I think the younger couple ended up trying to keep the baby from flushing everything down the toilet. Maybe that was last episode, I can't remember. But it just, yeah, whatever. Not like the Jimmy storyline was definitely where it was at. And it's not even my favorite character on the show by far. Now, I did run across a new show. I don't know why I click on things sometimes, but it's The Real Neils, and it was they just put something in there that caught me. Is like, oh, what happens when like you tell your family you're gay? It's like, okay, that'll be interesting because that's as tropey or stupid as it's gonna be. There are a lot of people that are gonna relate to that, and let's not be honest, it makes a really compelling social story um, that I typically have seen in movies done pretty well. Um, as tropey or stupid as it might end up being, like if you don't take care of it, but it looks like they're putting the careful writing to the show. They're developing each character independently, and it looks like it's more of like a middle type show, where there's constant problems because everyone's fuck up. That's basically what it is. So like it's supposedly a perfect Christian family, and like mom's really controlling to keep it that way, and dad's kind of the peacekeeper of the group. So like you've got the athlete, the I guess he's supposed to be the good student, and then no, she's the good student, and then he's kind of the middle child. That's right. So the athlete turns out to be anorexic. Like this real moment of honesty in a place they shouldn't have had it. And then the middle son, of course, is gay, and then the daughter, well studented daughter is a klepto, uh, or just a bad person maybe. And then of course mom's a super bitch. So like there's all this stuff going on about like how he's like you're not gay because you're not one of those because we're Christians, and it's like oh fuck you lady. She's really the antagonist of the show so far. I've only watched 2 episodes, but it's really like a battle of like him versus his mom with his brother and sister as intermediate antagonists and support units, and it's really interesting. I love family dynamic stuff, and this has really put an interesting spin into it. The second episode was almost entirely based on the concept of papaya, which I think is silly because some people like it, some people don't. But the whole point is like, how do you know you don't like it until you've tried it? So like his parents were pressuring him to like have it out with a girl to see if he actually would end up liking it and not be gay. And it's like no, it's not how it works. And that's basically the moral of the story. It's like you either like dicks in your mouth or you don't, and it's just whatever. Like, and that's not how the show phrases it. That's me. But the show is very much like, oh no, I like guys. Like, everything about her is terrifying and undesirable. But I like the guy in the spandex shorts. Like that's what the kind of the thing is, and that's what it is. So hopefully the third and fourth episodes will be him gaining a little bit of confidence in me, like, yeah, I'm gay, and that's who I am. Because that's kind of how the second episode ended. I want to see that momentum continue. But that poor girlfriend, because she was even like, it's okay, you're gay. Like, I get it. Things make sense now. But, like, we put a lot of work into this, and, like, I feel comfortable with you. I think you're the one that I can lose my virginity with. Which I understand is a huge thing, especially for ladies. And like I was like, that makes sense. If you are both comfortable and okay with it, you both have a shag. He gets an experience out of the way. You get an experience out of the way, and you both move on with your lives separately. But she just gets the shit kicked out of her, like the whole episode. I felt really bad for her because not only like does she lose her boyfriend, she loses potentially a best friend, and then she goes through like physical trauma on top of it. It's like, oh my god. Let's see. Over on the Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Holt tries to go out of town to sweet rendezvous with his boyfriend in France. The crew tries to take care of his dog, which apparently is an impossible task. On top of that, they're taking care of Charles because he's blind, and then Rosa and the creepy new guy are kind of a will they won't they of banging. Sarge ends up trying to help and making it potentially worse, and then it evens out, and that show is a mess of extremes at times. But it had a really serious overtone that I really didn't like, because there was the whole thing about Rosa and the other guy, and then like Captain Holt and his boyfriend. It's like, fuck, we really have to get dramatic on Brooklyn Nine-Nine? That is not a show that does well with that. If we're being honest, that's supposed to be a lighthearted, silly, slappy show, and we kind of hit the same stride in the Muppets. Um, like we have a whole episode where like Piggy breaks her leg and she's on pain meds and trying to work it out, and she's afraid of being turned into bacon because she broke her leg or something. Like really weird to kind of integrate that backstory and then acknowledge that we're in a world that has talking pigs but still eats pigs. That Muppet universe is really kind of messed up when you look at it. I appreciate it from like a fabricated American standpoint. Like that's a Greg Bunny reference, and there's actually links there because in Greg Bunny universe, Bert and Ernie are a real thing. Sesame Street is noted to be a real thing because it's kind of they play off of that. But if Sesame Street's a real thing, then the Muppets are a real thing. So that means the Greg Bunny universe and the Muppets universe share canon, and that means that like there's just like that means that the Muppets are fabricated. They're noted to be puppet people. They're not like pigs, which they play with that line a lot on the Muppets. Because Kermit was a frog that grew up in the swamp, but that doesn't mean that he couldn't have been a fabricated frog that grew. Oh my God! So you could really go down the rabbit hole with that one, and we're gonna move forward. But the big cardinal sin here is that Piggy and Kermit are looking at getting back together, and they realize that they still love each other, whether or not they know that they're good together or not. That's the thing they're trying to determine. But it's okay to love each other. There's nothing wrong with loving each other, and I encourage you to love people. And even want to bang them, sure, but that doesn't mean you have to, and that doesn't mean that they're expected to bang you back or love you back or anything like that. You just got to kind of take the world as its own sometimes. On Mom, Bonnie has a whole thing about like a mole on her butt and whether or not she has cancer and is beating cancer, and just really kind of a weird episode to take what would normally be a serious dive, but we just came off this super serious death thing, and so we're kind of getting back to the levity of it, and it's like, hey, is the show funny? Okay, I guess so. Over on Family Guy, of course, we're just gonna fuck with the lines of morality. Peter goes up and starts using the attic because Stewie has nightmares and is taking over the bed, as children are known to do, because it is what it is, and that's what it is. But instead of helping or dealing with the issue at all for either parent, actually it's the dog that fucking does it. Like Peter ends up taking over the attic and making a frat house, and then Lois locks him up there, and it comes to this horrible Mexican standoff of ruining her wedding dress in the most horrible of fashions, because of course that's in the attic, which you really need to be careful where you put people and what leverage you're giving them when you lock them away like that. Because that's a good lesson to learn. Let's see. Oh, yeah, and then Brian traveled into Stewie's dreams to kill his boogeyman, which I thought was just a really interesting concept. It's like, really on Family Guy, that's where we're exploring that. Give me a whole show of traveling into people's dreams, of insanity, doing that. Use puppets for everything. Actually, yeah, let's do that. Let's go back to Neil's puppet dreams, and let's just have it be Neil Patrick Harris going into people's dreams to help save them in Puppet Land. That's what I want. Bob's Burgers, a whole episode about a couch. Totally disappointing. The big payout for that was the fact that Luis was doing a evil mastermind bit for it, because she was manipulating the family to her will, as she does. And of course Gene and Tina had great things, and every time I do that, I have to think of Danny Danger and just laugh, because like, oh, there's us. Erased, I Am Behind. The way Crunchyroll goes, if you are not subscribed, is very awkward, and it leaves me an episode behind. And there are other people talking about the show, and theories on the show, and I am now without all the information, because FemService and Fan Service are both... Oh, I don't like that happened now that I think about it. Oh, God. Fan Service is Rooster Teeth's new anime podcast that will be available to the public in about a month, I think is what they said. They're going to go on hiatus while they make it look nicer because right now they were in pre-production and they didn't have a set built. Because like Achievement Hunter, they knew they were going to have the podcast. It looks like fan service kind of stole the old screenplay set and just utilized that to do a couple things, and they're actually going to take a couple weeks and make a proper set for fan service. But both of them are talking about Erased, and I am losing out my will to ignore what they're saying about Erased and all the theories and whether or not I'm going to watch it. But it's a really good anime, so I want to finish it out because we only have a couple more episodes, and I'm sure they're going to talk about the whole thing as a whole before I can finish it. Just what it is. Elementary. Okay. When you leave your money to your dog, you're an asshole. Like, I don't know why that's a thing. But there was this whole other interesting storyline about how to control how tall the building could be and like how structurally sound it was, and we didn't focus on that a lot. It was kind of an antidote to the murder case, and then there was this other bit about the captain and his girlfriend and Joan interfering and everything, and that was a lot more interesting. I love Elementary. I like murder mystery shows, but honestly, sometimes it just boils down to like, can I see those two bang? Like I don't have to watch them have sex, but like I want to know that they're together in the story. I want that romantic heartbeat going on. Castle, Haley, Castle and his daughter go to L.A., where we enter a bi-coastal serial killer investigation between L.A. and New York. That's actually really impressive. If you pay attention to serial killers and how they work, and you watch enough of these murder mystery shows or enough CSI, it's very interesting that he would go bi-coastal unless it's, spoiler, a team of killers. Now, with that said, it's interesting to see that would happen and that you would see that kind of interaction because you normally don't get that out of a serial killer story, and it's super interesting to see them touch base on that, especially in the fashion that they do here, especially combined with Castle and Summer Glau. Very funny. I didn't even piece together they were both on Firefly. Damn it. Very interesting to see those two show up on Castle to compete for a spot in the GDS, the Greatest Detective Society. Super interesting character that she plays. I wish there was more of her because she's in and out the whole time. Because Summer, not that it's Summer's fault, but the role that she got was just one of those roles. There is a very interesting part between her and Haley that people are going to like and they're going to talk about, and good for them, and yay. I kind of liked the response, and it doesn't matter how Summer felt about it because she was doing a job. That's what it is. Grimm. Nick goes to Germany. Such a horrible situation. If he hadn't done Monroe with him, would have been dead 1,000 times over, I'm sure. And it's probably still going to happen, or at least a fighter battle is going to show up. Because the rules are different there. They don't know that he's a good guy. There's so many things, and the fact that they managed to find anything with the few clues they have is amazing. So I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with that next episode, and that'll be interesting. And of course, back in Portland, the big hullabaloo is an assassination attempt. The episode kind of starts out, or I think it was end of the last episode, the owl guy with the sniper rifle. Obviously, he's a hitter, and he's going to take somebody out, and it's very interesting to see who goes down and when they go down and what is going on around that person when they go down, and that's what I'll say about that, because that's one I don't want to spoil right now. No episode for Supernatural, no episode for iZombie. I will circle back to that, though. Down the rabbit hole. You know what? So you can actually find it. I'm going to start using the date because whatever. I hate the date for a title. It's like, well, when did 11/22/63 come out in 2016? I got tired just saying that. I didn't even say the full date for the release. But oh my god, are they pushing the Janie angle hard? Like, I swear this is the universe pushing back because they're getting more and more information on Oswald, and about General Walker, and we've entered a point where like there may actually be a conspiracy that to look into. Um, so not only is Jay getting it bad, but Bill's also getting it bad for Oswald's wife, who we see is now in a horrible situation with Oswald himself. So there's potential for all that to come up and be a problem. And we're really close to having to read Janie in on everything, and she's going to freak out and leave him, or her husband is going to overhear because her husband's a douchebag. Oh my gosh, that whole process that they go through with that character, and I cannot imagine how he thought the conversation was going to go, because like he obviously did not expect um, 2000's attitude to come slinging at him about with all the profanity and the wealth of knowledge and everything. So it's but he obviously was one of these assholes who thinks it's like, no, I bought her. She's mine to do with what I. No. That's not how that works. If that's in your contract, fine, have fun. But she gives her to you as much as she says she does, and that's the reality of it, people. I don't care what you think. Lucifer, I'm an episode behind. Supergirl, okay, I had to catch up on 2 episodes this week. So the first one was with the Master Jailer, which are the jailers not Kryptonian? It was a Kryptonian prison. So isn't he a Superman? Why is he wearing this stupid armor and throwing chains around? I like the concept of Supergirl. I like what they're doing with it in concept, but the application's janky as shit. I really wish the show was not so rife with fucking weirdness, because it really hurts the show as both a superhero show and a female superhero show. And I distinguish those only because it's the only one out there right now. It's the only show that is currently based on a single superhero woman. And that's kind of why I was like, well, that's actually a really good point when you point out that Supergirl's a silly name for her. But I just, oh god, it's like, can we do the show right? What is this? But the Master Jailer is probably a story from the comic that I'm just unaware of. I'm not a big DC person. I'm not a big super person, because I find them boring. The thing that keeps it interesting is the day-to-day life and everything that's going on with that, and the struggle. And that's what I liked in the beginning, that she was struggling, but she's been struggling like every day against like world-ending superheroes or supervillains on a regular basis. It's like, can we like have some balance to this? Jeez. And the Max Lord situation, that's insanity. And I'll go ahead and spoil because it's probably been long enough. They actually release him, and they let a bad guy go because he's done his time and he's not hostile. Like, that's all it really takes is like, oh, I guess I'm going back to jail. I'd really like to not do this. When do I get out? And they look over everything and they're like, oh, well, you served your time, but we'll be watching you. That's honestly what I would have expected, is they give him a communicator or whatever, and they check in on him like once a month. Like, give him parole. That would have made a lot of sense, because he's doing good things and he's teaching people stuff and whatever. Not that I disagree with the Master Jailer's philosophy. It's like, oh, we had a bunch of prisoners for mass murder crimes and everything. It's like, let's just kill them off if we're not going to have the prison. Because he could have came in and worked for the DO. That would have actually been a really cool story angle. But again, he's such a weird character because he should be Kryptonian, but he's got like armor built into his skin, or it's holographic. I don't know. He's posing as a human for I don't know how long. And he doesn't have the same superpowers because he uses tech. It's just very strange. Very strange. Speaking of tech, Indigo is a very interesting character. She's I recognize the term Brainiac, and they even played at that Supergirl recognized the symbol. Apparently, Brainiac's race, she's part of that same race, the Brainiac 8 or something. I don't know what it's called. But she's like a living internet, so that, who knows what that means for Brainiac, because there's so many things going on there. And I was not under the impression that Brainiac was an alien. I thought he was a tech supervillain from Earth, or Terra. And so, like, I feel like I gotta go do research on Brainiac now, so I can understand what happened with Barbara Gordon, so that I can get the jokes that they're doing Felicity Smoke and they shouldn't be doing on Arrow. Sorry, I get a little upset sometimes. I miss my Barbara Gordon. Ugh, not good, not good. Um, but of course, this Fortress of Solitude was a fun little silly bit. I'm glad that they have that wealth of information there, which is essentially the same thing that she has with the hologram of her mom, but Myriad, like, why is the one word gonna make it self-destruct? Like, come on, just be like, I'm not talking about that. Nope, nope. Or delete the information on it so that you can't be hacked. It's ridiculous. Like, it just, I have no records of Myriad. That's all it takes, because that's what the Kryptonian army is going to try to use to I think wipe out the human race is the goal. But they're really shitty villains. Like Zod at least went two on it. Like I think there's like 3 or 4 of them, and like they went to start knocking people around and doing silly shit. And Superman was like, no, 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 and they fought, and it was still like 4-on-1, and Superman like managed to win, which is silly to think of, because I do not understand why why they haven't killed Supergirl yet, especially now that Astra's dead. That's going to become a real thing, because she was probably the number one thing holding them back from just annihilating Earth, because there's like 20 of those assholes. Even like with those numbers, they should be able to take on Supergirl and take on Superman and be done with it. Even if Jean comes out all powered up, like those 3 versus like 20 something Kryptonians and Indigo, whether she's fully operational or not, you're gonna have some trouble. I'm just saying. Okay, so no Flash, no Arrow. I don't know why, but that's just what it is. And there wasn't an episode of Supergirl out from yesterday, so I'm assuming that she's taking a break as well. But DC Legends of Tomorrow was out last week, at least. I don't know about this week. I really liked this. It reminded me of FTL. It's a video game a little bit. It's called FTL stands for Faster Than Light. Faster Than Light is a video game where you crew and man a spaceship and you travel through the galaxy and you do some stuff. Occasionally you encounter space pirates. In DC's Legends of Tomorrow, they definitely encountered some space pirates who had taken over another Time Lord ship. And I don't understand where the space pirates were before they took over that ship, unless they abandoned the old ship. And you would think like you would split the crew, like enough at least, to man both ships until you can at least sell one for scraps. Or something like that. Like, do they literally just nomadically move from ship to ship, taking it over and killing everyone on board until the ship breaks down and then they find another one? How do they control where they break down to do it? Like, in Firefly, at least, like, you had netters and weird shit like that, because space is big and empty, and there's plenty of places where you can get away with things like that. And I would imagine the time stream is like that as well. You can set up ambushes almost anywhere, but you have to be able to get there. You can't just let the ship break down. Over on Agent Carter, I think we hit the last episode of the season. I thought it was last time, but I forget. Not everybody thinks like me, where you can leave a big thing for the next season. It's an option. It's not what I would suggest. But they really do this final mission to get this gamma cannon in place and suck the zero matter out of Frost and throw the whole thing into another dimension to get rid of it. The execution of everything is super interesting, how everything goes down. And there's a lot, there's a couple times where they're just fighting, and then like somebody's like, "Well, I'll do it," and it's interesting to see that sort of thing happen. And it's very interesting to see how they deal with Frost and what's happening there because what happens when you have all that power where you've died several times and then all of a sudden it's all taken from you. And that thing infected her bad. Like it really wanted to use her to go do something, so she was compelled to go do something over and over and over again to like crazy levels of detail. And now she has none of that. But does she still have the compulsion? Like, does she still feel the need to meet its demands? Um, and how do you compensate for that? Oh my god. um, Upon a Time is back with a whole new story arc with a new villain. Uh, it's super interesting to see because when you go to the underworld, you see all the baddies that you got rid of and everyone who hates you, and it's super interesting to kind of see how they deal with everything and what's going on. And you would think like they are just looking for one person to bring back. You would think that they'd be able to pull it off, but of course they come and they blab off who they're looking for, so that person's going to get kidnapped and held somewhere, and that's just the truth of it. Like they're not going to be able to get who they're looking for specifically because they declared who they're looking for. And we get introduced to Hades, Lord of the Underworld. So we're hitting the Hercules realm. So I'm looking forward to seeing Hercules and the lady Minerva. I don't know. I don't think it's Minerva, but like there's a lady character in there as well that's pretty popular. I'm looking forward to seeing her. Jedi Amanda has a cosplay of her. I don't know why I'm looking up her cosplay when I could just look up the movie, but let's see if it comes up. I'm just curious now. Hercules, swimsuit rogue. Jeez, Megara, that's her name. So it was actually the third result. Swimsuit rogue comes up first, and then cosplay Sith Elsa cosplayer, and then Megara. And you look up Jedi Amanda cosplay Hercules. How is Rogue the first one? Like, I get that she looks cute in a swimsuit, and there are apparently like people making lots of wretched comments about her dressed up as Sith Elsa. Just be nice to your local cosplayers. They do a thing, and it takes more work than you can dream of. So, jeez. Okay, so. Oh god, and that brings us to Second Chance. This is a newer show. I said last week I was going to check it out, and I actually did. And oh my god, this is one of those shows where it's like, where have you been? Why did I not know about you? Because it could possibly happen. Like this is a show that could be reality in 5 more years. It's insanity because we have a lot of this tech now. The trick is doing the fast clone process where you're cloning a full human instead of something from birth. Oh, geez. So the whole premise is that this retired sheriff, who's kind of a shitty guy, these geniuses choose him to resurrect to try to use him as a cure for cancer. But the result is that he's like almost he's basically superhuman. But there's a lot of downsides that go along with it, like his body's actually actively degenerating, so he needs to be put in a tank of like nano solution periodically to recharge himself. So he can go out for like 12 hours at a time, do investigations, help out his son, who doesn't know he's his son because they look like they're the same age. So he's posing as his own illegitimate child, which I thought was genius, and they gave up on that way too soon because they really should have played that out more. But in fairness, they only gave it up to one person, and everyone else kind of thinks that's who he is. But I love that we've got another murder mystery show with such a cool twist, and the girl is from Greek. I think her name was Rebecca on there, and the guy, I don't know where he's from. I don't have a clear recollection of that. But again, the whole point is that they're trying to use Pritchett his blood to cure Mary of cancer, and her brother is like a super isolationist. He's a genius, but he's very antisocial. He wants the world a certain way, and he wants it where it's like him and Mary and all his cool toys. It's essentially all he wants in life, and he can't handle that Mary would want something that's not what he wants. And fuck him, like really, like if you're that much of a problem person that you can't allow the world to be a certain way, like then you're not actually going to help the world be any better. So, on you. Um, let's see. So okay, but there's several like interesting plot points that happen. Like there's a power surge when they use the system to resurrect Pritchett. So some prisoners escape. So he of course has to go hunt them down. There's an assassination attempt on Mary, like for whatever reason. So they have to investigate that. There's a corrupt parole officer that is dating his daughter. So him and his son look into and review that guy, and then end up following a case that way. And it's actually pretty interesting. And then like one of his old lovers from back when he was married, mind you, turns out to be like the new heroin kingpin or queenpin, if you will. So they have to go deal with that, and like they're coming up with things because I don't know how many episodes in, 5 or 6 episodes in. No, I'm current actually, and it is super interesting to see how far they brought it and where they're going with each of the characters and their individual motives. Because Mary's grown a lot as a character and is seeing life in a different way, and her brother Otto, I think, hates it, and he's starting to see life in a different way and shifting a lot. Pritchett, I think, is actually probably the sane one out of everybody at this point, but you're taller and stronger and better looking than you ever were, then yeah, that's gonna happen. But I want to see him and Mary bang. It's like as interesting as the show is, like I can reduce a desire for people to hook up in the show. Like, and when I say that, I don't mean like I want to watch porn of them. I mean like I want to see them romantically connect in the story, and that's just how I phrase it. Like if we saw my wish list for shows, it would just be me banging dolls together and being like, this is this and this is this, and and speaking of banging dolls together, The 100, a show unlike any other show out there right now, I'll be honest. Though there are 2 shows that are quickly going to be joining its ranks as shows unlike other shows, and that's the fact of it. And of course the dolls being Clark and Lexa, I could see them together. It's such a cute romantic couple. It's not even dirty, I'm being honest. I really like them as a couple in a show where it's like you've got the star-crossed lover thing going on for like all over the place, and you've got all these old flames, and it's like that was the one that's really held me. Now I did like Jasper's little relationship as well. Lincoln and Maya, or whatever her name is, like they're interesting. Raven coming down off the spaceship to get, was it Bellamy back? No, it's the guy that died because he was a crazy dickhead. Oh man, that's so long ago. But the 100 is a fantastic show. I can go on. I can do a whole podcast just on the 100. Maybe I'll do that when the season wraps up. That could be fun. But so we're ending up with like a lot of flashbacks back to Polaris, the 13th spaceship, because the whole idea was that the Ark was created by 12 spaceships linking up, and of course it didn't last as long as it was supposed to for so many different reasons. They overpopulated, they didn't maintain the things well enough. There was supposed to be a 13th ship to help maintain everything, and they blew it out of the sky because they're assholes. I'm sorry if that was a spoiler, but I'm really upset by that. That was like, no, it's like you take over the ship and like you purge it. You do whatever you have to do, but you don't blow away that many resources, especially when the problems left. Because the whole thing was Abby's creator, who of course looks just like Abby, that beautiful dark-haired woman. And I loved seeing her not act like a robot. Like Abby's fine as a character, but I liked seeing her creator as a person, all the emotion behind her face because she can really emote. She's got big eyes for it. Oh my god, I love that character. And even more so, I'll swing back to it. But she left the ship, and then like they blew up her space station. It was hers. She rightfully should have been able to kick everybody off, just send them on a pod over to the Ark, and then just leave on her own spaceship, space station, whatever. But instead, she goes to the surface to talk to the surface dwellers, the grounders. And apparently, that was like a century before this current generation of kids that we're dealing with. Because it had to have been like it because they were on the Ark for 100 years, because it was when the world went haywire because of her AI, and that's what we know so far is that, like, that's what happened, and she went to the ground to try to fix the problem, because they wouldn't let her do it from the space station where she could actually make it happen. So she came to the ground to make it happen, and for whatever reason, oh no, I know what the reason was. She ended up with an AI implant stitched in the back of her neck. I really like that. That's where we're going with this. So she had a thing implanted in the back of her neck. Oh my God! We got to see the secret of the commanders. It turns out she's the first commander. I'm ruining that right now. I'm going to talk about the 100. So like we got to see the process of like what the spirit of the commander is, why the Polaris symbol, the infinity sign, is the holy symbol, because each commander is implanted with one of these crazy chips, which helps make her or him better and better as it goes on, and it's why the commander is referred to as a person. By the people, and not just a title. It's not the Commander Lexa, it's the commander as a person, and that's why, because that one ship is the commander and it just has a new host every time. Beautiful idea. But this is all happening with when like they've decided to barricade in Arcadia. It's like they put them on a reserve essentially. It's like, you guys will have this. If you come out past that, we're gonna kill you. Hands down. We're tired of dealing with you fucks. So it became a big question of what do you do with the Sky Crew that are not currently in there. Whereas they obviously are sympathizers to the Grounders, which I don't like that. The nations, the tribe, the alliance. So like they would have been fine, but they're not viewed that way. The same way Lincoln's not viewed properly in Arcadia, which is fucking horrible. What's going on in there, anyways, with Grounders? With natives, I don't know. Grounders, I guess is the proper term. Because they're technically different species right now. They incorporate the radiation differently. So it's a matter of whether or not the new commander or the intermediate commanders are going to go in and just eradicate Sky Crew completely, and then we'll end up with like that pocket survivor group that I was talking about, or if they're just going to leave them enclosed, and then Pike will charge in, probably pull another shoot them in their sleep bit, and then they'll force the hand, because this is not going to go on. I don't know who's taking over as commander, but fuck me, are they going to make or break the show? So here's a couple shows that I'm going to have to catch up on. I was planning on doing Fear of the Walking Dead and just getting all caught up on that, but for whatever reason, another show caught my eye, and I'll talk about that one in a moment. Fear of the Walking Dead, we're getting slowly immersed, like I'm only in episode 2, slowly immersed in the world, and just more and more each time, and each minute the show goes on. Like we're really seeing everything develop and go crazy. We're actually seeing active zombies now. People are fighting to survive. That family has to deal with the drug addict. Like there's a reality to things. Once it gets bad enough, you leave that asshole outside, and you bash his head in with a shovel or whatever you got to do, because he's not worth getting the rest of the family killed if he can't pull his own weight enough to run away. Because they were talking about getting him medicine, which, if you know anything about like how addicts get weaned off of things with like methadone clinics and everything is like you get prescribed amounts of the drug you're addicted to, but in smaller amounts, so your receptors get reduced instead of going crazy because they have nothing. Um, and once your body realizes that there's less and less of it available, they actually do start to shrink, or the amount of them starts to shrink and close up to process what you have. But when you have nothing, your body kind of goes into this crazy withdrawal state. But the point is, never let yourself get there. So don't do drugs. Stitchers. So Stitchers is a show that like caught my eye. I don't know why. I'd seen it several times, and then every time I go and I read the thing, I'm like, that looks interesting. Maybe I'll never watch it. But this time, for whatever reason, I was like, I'm gonna watch this, and I'm gonna see what's up, and then I'll turn it off because it probably won't be good. Oh my God, was I wrong? This show is like built for me. I'm gonna go through my points here, or my notes here, point by point, because it actually matters. I think when it comes down to it. So like the whole idea is that there's a secret government agency that will stitch, quote unquote, people into dead people's bodies to relive their final moments of memory to get enough clues, emotional and otherwise, about the circumstances of their death in order to finish solving the murder. So essentially, it's cold cases, but they have to be declared cold cases within like 6 to 24 hours. Because the bodies only last like 48 hours, maybe 72, maybe that was it, and then like the short side is 48. Because they're definitely hit a couple slots with that already. The problem is that like you can only stitch certain people into bodies for whatever reason, because of how everything happens. They tend to have poor side effects on you. You can't theoretically you can only do it so often, and all these restrictions. So because the main character has what's called time dysplasia, she apparently is a prime candidate, and they've been scouting her for like a year to try to get her incorporated in there, and they manufactured some crazy scheme for her to have the need to want them. And Allison Scagalotti from Warehouse 13 is also on the show as like the roommate character. So if you like her, watch this, and she's on it. Really interesting range of characters there. The lead agent, the one in charge, supposedly, is also very familiar, but I cannot place where I know her from offhand. I think it was in. It was some show, like they were in like the north in like an isolated small town, and she was the psychiatrist. That's killing me. Now I have to know. Oh geez, Stitchers is awesome. Is Emma Ishtan is the main character. You'll often see her in this like cat suit if you look it up. Yeah, I think if HBO had picked this up, she just would have been naked. So Sally Richardson Whitfield is the lady that I'm thinking of. She was in Eureka. That's right, she was the mayor, I believe, and she might have been. Was Allison Blake was the character name? I don't remember if that was the mayor or the psychologist lady. What am I thinking of? What is that show? There is a show that has like a psychologist, and she's like feeding information to someone else the whole time. Oh my God, I don't think it's Eureka. I'm gonna have to look into that. I'm gonna have to look at that another time because I can't do it right now. Oh, that's gonna eat at me for like the rest of my life. She may not have been on the show, but now I can't remember what the show is. Maybe it's Under the Dome. I don't know. Okay, so I had a theory for quite a time that it doesn't matter how you're doing it. The idea of getting information from the dead is become a trope. It's official. That's a fucking trope now, because Pushing Up Daisies did it. True Calling did it. iZombie's doing it. And Stitchers is doing it. Like, there are other shows that are doing it too, but those are the ones that like I'm familiar with pretty intimately, and that I really like. Those are the ones that come to mind. They're great murder mystery shows with just a little bit of a gimmick thrown in there. I liked True Calling because like she had to relive and remember it on the fly. Like she had no real like evidence of anything that with her at any time. She just had her memory of like what happened the past 24 hours. So she had to remember all the numbers and things that happened. And Pushing Up Daisies was very similar. It's like you got this like telephone game of murder mystery clues given to you, and you had to like take that out in the world. But I think that was the delivery was the problem with that show. iZombie is like she is the character, so she's actively remembering and she's getting information on the fly in memory flashbacks. So it's a little bit different. And Stitchers is very similar to iZombie, where she has to remember things from the thing, from the Stitch, but she has what's called residual emotion. So it changes her personality. It's not to the point of iZombie where like she is another character for an episode, but she is dealing with emotions she's not familiar with. Because going on into the show, she has never had love, grief, anger, fear before. She's just existed in the moment that she's existing, and that's how she deals with life. And now, like, she's being introduced to all these things that affect her that aren't supposed to affect her because of her time dysplasia. And I really feel for the character a lot. I really relate to the character in so many different ways, and I really like her. I want to see more good things. And there's like this whole threat of banging between her and one guy, and then we're getting banging from like two other characters, and it's like I don't really care. Like, you weren't the interesting ones to see what was going to happen. And part of the whole premise of like her joining was that she gets to step into her adopted father, who was declared a suicide, but she thinks he was murdered. So she wanted to see what happened, and of course they stopped that from happening because storyline, you needed that. So instead, she gets stitched to some raver who gets to see monsters all right before she dies. She OD'd on some crazy drug, which, oh my god, that I would not wish for that. You forget, like, iZombie doesn't have a lot of it because she gets so choosy about her brains, but a lot of the zombies get forced emotions or forced memories, not always good. So it's interesting to see that. But we had a couple things like a wife was killed, the husband was suspected. We kind of had a Rear Window knockoff, which I really liked. With it was one of the guys in the program, his like downstairs neighbor from where he used to live. So that was really cute. And then oh yeah, the big episode so far, and I'm not caught up on this, but is like the previous Stitcher wakes up from a coma and like tries to like leak the codes out to the world to try to stop the stitching program. So like you could almost have a whole mini series. You really could have dragged it out instead of reducing it to one episode. You could have had a whole mini series of that girl's experience, like her trying to take down the evil stitching agency, and really play it up from her perspective as her being the good guy and the Stitchers being the bad guys. And it would have been beautiful. So many people have opportunities to make real impacts in the entertainment industry, and they waste it. Future Watch, I've added some things. I've reorganized this. I've reorganized this especially because I need to get it done. Journey Quest is going to be the smallest, so I'm going to go do that. Remember that you can pay $5 on like Steam for Journey Quest, or you can watch it on YouTube for free. Powers, you can get on PSP or PS Plus and watch it and pay to watch it there, or you can watch it on YouTube for free. On Hulu, there's a couple things that have been catching my attention, and I've forgotten about them. Cooper Barrett's Guide to Surviving Life. It looks really funny. I need a little bit more humor in my life, so I'm going to do that. 12 Monkeys, a serial about time travel. Of course, I'm going to have to watch and hate it. The Librarians, I don't know what it was. Something in the delivery of the narrative definitely struck me with this show, and I think I'm going to check it out. It may be a one and done, but maybe I'll fall in love with it. Finding Carter seems super dramatic, but uh, it's a young lady who finds out that her mother is actually her kidnapper. I'm like, yes, give me that serial, please. Of course, I want to go back and watch Constantine. It's like my number one show to go back and watch, even though it's over and done with. And then, of course, dun 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 dun. That's not how the theme goes because I can't do it. Game of Thrones is coming back. I'm getting messages and things that Game of Thrones is going to come out. I may give it an episode or two, and then I will probably jump into HBO Now, which is the other service that I can do. And I think I'm going to have to jump back into the services for just a little bit. I'll see how much I use YouTube Red. At least I can very much use that. At the very least, I can use it to watch Laser Team, the Rooster Teeth movie, which I'm really surprised there is an option like to buy it or watch it through Rooster Teeth. Maybe I haven't found it yet. But that's all my show's talk and everything. This has been just over an hour, so I'm over what I wanted to be. But oh geez, oh dear, oh me. Oh, we had a message that I missed. March 28th, Season 10, Trailer Park Boys? I don't know what Trailer Park Boys is. I normally don't do this, but that's intriguing enough because they're talking about entering a tornado to Oz. What the fuck is this? A mockumentary about what? A group of trailer park residents. So somebody came in to advertise, and normally that's frowned upon, but this was funny enough that that I wanted to look it up. That's apparently a thing that's happening, folks. Thank you so much for watching or listening. However you ingest this media, we appreciate it. It really is quite the honor to have anyone check this out. But until you see me next time, I am Kamurai. Have a nice day. If you want to see anything else we're up to, go ahead and click the annotations, and they'll take you to our other channels. Thanks for watching.